Hello class of Media and Multiculturalism, this is Carlos, and on this video I'm going to be doing my final research presentation about the Simpson Satire and Stereotype. To begin with, let's start with a quick introduction about the Simpsons. The Simpsons is an American adult animated sitcom, and they started since 1989. They have 30 seasons and 662 episodes. Their production company is 20th Century Fox Television. Now let's talk about their producers and media network. Their creator is Matt Groening, and their writer is Sam Simon. Producer is James L. Brooks. The three of them, they have been able to put this show together from their own views and perspectives and humor. While doing my research presentation, I found out that Matt Groening tends to be more of a satirical human being. He likes being satirical, and you can see that on the show. Also, the producer James L. Brooks, he tends to be more of this is what I found. It says James L. Brooks, he encouraged ideas that were more emotional, resonant than they were satirical. And if you guys have seen the show, you guys can, it's not easy to find about these three aspects that I'm going to say. The three aspects that you may find in an episode, it's satirical, comedy, and heart. I'll go over on that in a few seconds. Now let's talk about the episodes per season. So on this graph you guys can see the amount of episodes on this side, and then the seasons. So let's say there's 20 to 25 episodes per season. And on this other graph over here that I grabbed from the article from Forbes magazine, they have it here. It says 30 years on The Simpsons isn't aging well. If you guys cannot get a close enough view from this, I can send you guys the link to my presentation or PDF presentation. But anyway, when they started with the first season here, it shows that they were at their highest point of viewers, 27.8 million, and then they just kept going downhill. And here we can see that they drastically went down, but then to 8.8 million, they went up to 15.5 million, and I think it was around when their movie came out. But anyway, now from their 15th season to the 27th, it's just going bad from 10 million to 4 million. And this graph is from 1989 to 2016. So, all right, now let's talk about a little bit of the characters. Homer Simpson, he's been portrayed as a buffoon, useless father, and husband who works at the nuclear plant. But he also is portrayed as an emotional man, prone to intense joy or excitement, and he also gets these fits of blinding rage. Also not very smart, and he loves to eat. He's lazy, but he loves his family. In some of the episodes, when he gets upset with Bart, you get to see how he tries to strangle his own kid. And then Marge, she's portrayed as the housewife and the mother. Bart, he's portrayed as the prankster and mischievous child. And going back to the 3 points that I mentioned earlier, where it's satirical, comedy, and heart, I'm gonna use Bart as an example. If you guys have seen the show, there's in a lot of episodes where Bart gets in trouble. He tends to get in trouble very often. He's a rebellious kid. You get to see most of the times he gets a satirical joke, and then there's some comedy because of something that he did, but then at the end he might have his conscience will be like, okay, that wasn't right. So then they'll try to have an ethical decision with their I mean, I'm not saying that the show has the best values, but at the end they try to make things right and add a little bit of humor and their satirical way. And then other member of the family, she's Lisa. She's portrayed as the intelligent and aware and sensitive girl. And most of the times, she's Marge and Lisa. They are right, and the show also portrays that the kids are more intelligent than the father. Then Maggie, she's just the baby sister. There's not much talk about her. Also, okay, now let's talk about satire of the show. The show reflects the average American family satire, and also reflects the current events of everyday social interaction. The show might look like it criticizes or makes fun of every American middle class, but in reality they do satire everything, as they have created several characters that form part of the society in the show, that they intend to react a reality viewed from the producers. The Simpsons is one of the only shows that, rather than embrace the virtues of an American family, like every other show of the timeline from 1989 to today, The Simpsons seems to actively mock other shows as well. The Simpsons have stayed for 30 years in the media entertainment, and they have been addressing issues like bullying, depression, struggles of social issues, middle and lower class, and then life. And the Simpsons have been exposing it all, these topics, through their unique satire technique. And I believe with their intentions were not to create conflict, but to address real life conflicts of society, and to show them in TV entertainment. Now I'm gonna be talking about satire and stereotypes. I'm gonna use Ned Flanders as an example. That the Simpsons use him for a religious humor, and of course a lot of people might not be very pleased with the way the Simpsons portray the neighbor Ned Flanders, which he's a hardcore evangelical Christian. And this reminds me also how the show The Office, Michael Scott treats Toby, the guy in charge of human resources. He treats him very poorly, and kind of like the same relationship in The Simpsons. You get to see how Homer treats really very poorly to his own neighbor, Ned Flanders. The Simpsons treats Flanders. The actions are simultaneously mocked and praised in a way they denigrate evangelicals. Now I'm gonna be talking about another example. All people are useless. They portray the elderly to be useless. They represent them to be just something else that they don't want to worry about in their lives, the way Homer Simpson treats his own dad. And that's just, I feel like, a bad representation. But I mean, it might show some reality. It might be, for some cases, not everyone. Like I said, I want to point out that the Simpsons stereotype everyone and everything, even their own media. They make fun of their network, Fox. I know Fox Entertainment and Fox News are different, but same. I mean, still, they make fun of it. There are several stereotypes in The Simpsons. They get the Italians. They portray them as mafia guys, and the redneck. So they portray them as lower class and uneducated. The police officer, lazy and attracted to donuts, eating donuts all the time. They also portray immigrants. Apu is one of them. The school janitor, the bumblebee, the Mexican character from their channel 8, Canal Ocho, in the Simpsons network of the show, where also they show some kids TV shows. But anyway, yeah, the Simpsons have a lot of stereotypes. Being the way the Simpsons are, they have some conflicts because the way they have portrayed the lifestyle or the middle class of an American. So the Simpsons faced this conflict back in 1990, where President George W.H. Bush said American families should be less like the Simpsons and more like the Waltons. Well, the Simpsons, before that happened, his wife, in an article, she stated that the Simpsons was the dumbest thing ever. And once the producers or people from the producers from the Simpsons realized of what she said, they tried to address the issue. Back then there was no Twitter, so they decided to send her a formal letter and expressing their own feelings about it. And she responded back, then they responded back, but then in one of the president's speeches he said that. And there's a link for the video. You guys can, I'll put it on the description below, or I'll send you guys an email with the links of the video if you guys want to get more information about it. And then this final conflict that I want to talk about is it happened like 2 years ago, where this Indian comedian, his name is Hari Kandavalu, he addressed the stereotype the Simpsons developed for the character Apu. He claims that for the last 25 years Apu was the only Indian character in pop culture. Now there are more, but people, like, there's generations of people who maybe because of the Simpsons, the way they portray characters, people generalize them and apply them to their own lives and their society and circles. And if this actor, or he was so upset about it that he decided to make his own documentary about the problem with Apu and the Simpsons. So there's also a video for that. I will send you guys an email with the link if you guys cannot find it. But some people also might not realize that Apu was okay. Some people might not realize that Apu was smarter of the average American, and I'm saying that because the way the Simpsons portrayed Apu wasn't just to make fun of the Indian culture, but they also make fun of the average American. Apu, he's portrayed to be very intelligent, and in a lot of there are some videos that I can find for you guys, and I'll leave them in the description below, where you guys can see how they show maybe Homer Simpson trying to help him pass his U.S. citizen test, and when he goes present the test for the U.S. citizen, the guy asks him a basic question, and Apu just keeps going, giving him more detail that he needed. Like, he's not just being portrayed as making fun of the Indian culture, but he's also portrayed as a very intelligent man. And because if you look around your community, maybe you get to see a lot of Indian doctors, and it just shows also how, even though Apu wasn't portrayed as a doctor, but anyway, it created some conflict, and the producers of The Simpsons decided to get rid of Apu. And I feel like it wasn't the right decision, because The Simpsons make fun of everyone and everything. And if they get rid of Apu, why they wouldn't get rid of Homer Simpson? But this brings me to another. I want to talk about the stereotypes that the producers created. Um, the producers of The Simpsons created and portrayed a vivid culture type of the working class man, devaluating the imagery of the working class male as a buffoon. Humor built on making fun of stereotype of immaturity, stupidity, and lack of common sense. The characterization is accentuated by contrast to the wives and children in this working class series. The children are portrayed as smarter than the father and making father look with no authority. And also with this whole situation with Apple getting rid of him, some people might find it offensive and racist, and some people don't. I think it all depends the way you are viewing the show with, and knowing that they do make fun even of themselves, and not just to pick on one race or one social class. It's pretty general the way they are being satirical about so many topics. And then I just want to close up with this fun fact about the show. And this question is, why Springfield? This is a question asked to Matt Groening, the producer, and he responded back in this article. He said, "When I grew up, I realized it was, and Springfield is the name of the town of The Simpsons." And he responded, "When I grew up, I realized it was just a fictitious name. I also figured out that Springfield was one of the most common names for a city in the United States. In anticipation of the success of the show, I thought this would be cool. Everyone will think of their Springfield, and they do." So that's pretty cool how even back then, before the show became so successful, he had like this idea of like using a really common name of Springfield, and that people will feel familiarized even with the name. Now it just blew out of proportion, and maybe he created stereotypes, and we kind of relate some of the cases, like what it's been shown in the show, with real life. And okay, to close up, in conclusion, Matt Groening created The Simpsons family to challenge traditional perceptions of the American family, but in a new medium, the animated television series. The Simpsons was able to combine the humor drawn from a dysfunctional family dynamic with social satire in the characters surrounding the family, and political satire of domestic and international issues the show covers. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your next class and this class. Thank you.